Listeners, welcome back to another episode of the Lead Well podcast. This is Brandon Holland, your host, and I have a fantastic episode planned for you today with two people who I have grown to be very fond of, and I'm learning a lot from, and I think you'll learn a lot from them also. We have with us Miss Taylor Lunin and Mr. Larry Long Jr. Welcome to the show.
Thanks
Happy
for
to
having
be
us,
here.
Brandon.
Thank you for having us, Brandon.
Absolutely. So what we normally do is kind of have our guests kind of share a little bit about their background and stuff like that. And I want to do a little bit of that with you guys. But if we could, let's kind of talk about how you got into the work that you're doing now. I know both of you have been working with speakers for some time, and I want to give our audience a little bit of how you kind of got into that.
I'll let Taylor lead us off. Bat and lead off, Taylor. You got it.
Absolutely. Well, thank you for the question, Brandon. And I really ended up stumbling into the speaking world and the speaking industry about 13 years ago or so. I was hired on to work with a keynote speaker to be a travel assistant with him. So I was hired on just to go on flights with him, get from the hotel to the venue and all of that. And I slowly but surely gained my way through the system and just was cross trained in every area of the speaking business. So I worked my way up to management and operations within his business and spent a lot of my time behind the scenes in the business side of speaking.
Wow. Okay. What about you, Larry?
Oh, goodness. 5 years ago, I bet on myself that I could actually share my story and rock the mic. You probably won't believe this, but I've been speaking for 47 years. I came out of the womb speaking, but professional speaking. I had a career in software sales, leading sales teams, Monday morning hype man, and it was always a dream to get paid to speak, but not a dream that I thought was actually a reality for me. And 5 years ago, I decided, I think Wesley Snipes said, always bet on black. I bet on myself, and here we go. 5+ years as a professional speaking. I pinch myself each and every day because I'm living my dream. I don't pinch myself too hard because I don't want to wake up from this dream.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, I get that. So dealing with speakers and the speaker community, one thing that comes to my mind is you guys are helping people do something that's a very honorable trait, right? And in my opinion, it's helped create one of the most recognizable brands in the world, which is Disney. They started out with storytelling, you know giving highlight to stories that need to be told or stories that are impactful to people and helping people tell those stories well. So what's the importance, in your opinion, what's the importance of the individual story?
I'll start us off. I believe that the individual story is important, and not just the story, but also the lessons behind it. Some call them lessons learned. Others call them lessons earned, if you know what I mean. But story just has a way to transform lives because folks can see themselves in the stories that are being told. And that's so powerful when it comes to getting folks to take action. It's great to be entertained. We all like entertainment, and
Yeah,
the transformation of action is truly the transformation I love to see.
that's incredible.
Absolutely. And I'll piggyback on top of that if I can. I think telling our stories is so much about redemption, right? When we are able to own our stories, we're able to be the hero of our own story. We take ownership in writing the ending of that story, right? Or
Yeah,
choosing that there's no ending yet and we're continuing to write that ending. But I think it all comes down to redemption and being able to be the hero of our own story.
that's incredible. And so, to our listeners, one thing that's been impactful for me and, having a deeper connection to both of you and, able to really learn is, joining the Abundant Speaker community. But I'm curious, and I'm sure some of our listeners are too. Why did you feel the need to start this community?
I'll take this one if I can, Larry. So, the abundant speaker community is all about relationships and connection, We understand 5 years in the industry with Larry, 13 years in the industry with myself, that the speaking industry, the business can be lonely. And we tend to drift and go to shiny object syndrome when we're alone like that, right? So providing a space, creating a space where we can show up and we can exchange ideas, we can build the relationships, build the connection. That's a big picture for us with the Abundant Speaker. We want to provide that space for as many speakers as we possibly can.
Yeah. Larry, you got anything to add to
And
that?
I'll just add on a little bit. Funny story. Speaking of story, Taylor was my speaker business coach, and we were talking about how I could elevate my business. And we talked about community, we talked about connection, we talked about taking action. And for me, I'm not meant to be alone. I'm meant to be in a tribe, on a team. And there wasn't anything out there that met on a consistent basis every week. So Taylor and I said, ding, maybe there's an opportunity for us to jointly create this community that so many are seeking. I know I'm not the only one. So that was really the genesis of the Abundant Speaker, built on taking action, doing it together, holding each other accountable, making sure that we do it in abundance versus the scarcity mindset, really sharing everything that we have with everyone with a sense of appreciation. I think that's the 4 A's. I love some alliteration.
Well, no, that's important. And one thing that I've noticed is there's not a question that ever goes unanswered. The members are extremely supported, in my opinion. And we have each other. We have clear, solid direction. So it's something that's been super beneficial to me. But what's your vision for the group? Like, are we trying to produce TEDx speakers, or what's the vision for your members, and what you'd like to see?
Yeah, I'll share from my perspective. Um, like I said, I'm living my dream. I want every other speaker, whether they're in our community or not, but really within our community, our goal is to help them accomplish their dream and to live a life that they never would have imagined, personally first and then professionally. I mean, Brandon, I just came back from a 20-day European trifecta speaking tour: Scotland, Ireland, and England. My wife was along for the ride for the first two stops. I never would have imagined that. And I want other speakers to look back and say, wow, I never would have imagined whatever it is for them, however they want to fill in the blanks. And that was our message to start off with in the month of June was, what's your big vision, your big dream? No, bigger, because everyone's got a different vision and a different plan, and they want to write a story. And we were challenging them to dream big, and we'll figure out how to get there. But dream big. Life is too short to play small and to shrink down. And I'm guilty as charged. I've throughout most, not most, through a lot of my life, I've played small and I've shrunk down. No. So my vision is to allow professional speakers to impact the world and to live a life that they never, ever, ever, ever would have imagined.
That's special, man. That's really good.
Amen.
Yeah.
Amen, Larry. Yeah, no, if I can add just from my perspective,
Yeah.
I mentioned that I thrive behind the scenes. I am not someone who is necessarily going to go on stage and share my message with the masses, but we have a community of so many people with these powerful messages who can go out there and they are willing to spread those messages far and wide. And for me, I find so much purpose behind creating the space that's going to support them and allow them to do that. It just feels like an expansion of my own ripple effect. And if we can just have a space where speakers can spread more of their messages and they can do so in an abundant way and not have to come from a place of scarcity, that's my why. And that's a big reason for the Abundant Speaker community for me.
Yes, absolutely. Wow. Okay. So when I think about, the, I guess along the lines of a beginning speaker, I think of, someone who may be good at speaking, but not necessarily know the roadmap off the stage, right? So if somebody is in on the path of wanting to become a professional speaker and share their story, what are some of the first steps that they might need to do, maybe in their first 6 months of trying to become a professional speaker?
What a solid question. And from my perspective, I would say just get your reps in, make sure that you get that story out, get in front of people, find out what resonates with folks, and start to just develop that story. We talk about the power of storytelling, and it's not just for our audiences, it's for ourselves, right? So just getting out there, getting the reps in. And then when it comes to getting paid to speak, I feel that so much of it just comes down to positioning ourselves. And a lot of speakers end up in that free pond for a very, very long time because we forget about positioning ourselves as something valuable. We're an investment up on stage. So it's all about getting those reps in and then finding a way to position yourself so that people want to bring you in and hear you speak.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely.
I echo, and great minds think alike. I echo what Taylor said. Speakers speak, so find those opportunities to speak. And when it comes to monetizing your message, getting paid to speak, I encourage folks to think about what problem specifically, or problems, one, two, three, problems do you solve with your story and your message? And Taylor and I had this conversation earlier today. The bigger the problem you solve, generally the more opportunities and the bigger piece of the pie might be coming your way. Big problems generally equals bigger value and paycheck in return for you being able to solve those problems.
Gotcha. Yeah, there was a great philosopher that said, "Mo money, mo problems." So
BIG.
that's kind of how we have to take it sometimes.
Absolutely. Hmm.
Okay. Well, I don't. That's all the questions that I have. Is there anything else that either of you would like to share about the speaker community or about anything that you're working on?
Well, Brandon, I want to say thank you for inviting us and for allowing us to share about the abundant speaker community. I always like to add the benefits of community.
Mm,
What is that benefit you have of being in a space and a place of support? And I think some of the major benefits that we provide is the collaboration, the ability for folks, because in the professional speaking world, it can be very solitary. You think about it, you go off to an engagement, you travel by yourself, you're there by yourself, you're there with your thoughts, and you're looking around saying no one else really understands or gets me.
that's it.
Having a community of like-minded and even not like-minded folks, but folks who can relate to the situations that you're in and the lifestyle that you're going through, it just provides just opportunities for collaboration, for connection, for assistance. Because sometimes there's this rainbow and sunshine. There's this picture that everything is hunky dory. And in reality, this industry is tough. It is challenging. And to be able to have a space where you can share those challenges and say, you know what? Everything is not hunky dory. I need some TLC. I need some affirmations. I need some support to help lift me up in those times of need. It's so important to have. And believe you me, I believe that I've got the S on my chest and I'm Superman, but I also realize that I'm not. And having a community to be able to lean on, it means the absolute world.
Yeah, yeah, that's super beneficial. Yeah,
No doubt. When we have that safe space, we're able to grow in such a more meaningful way because we're able to show up, be vulnerable, connect, hold each other accountable, be honest. And yeah, it's all about the benefit of creating that safe space.
yeah. I know. For me, it's been a tremendous benefit because there's always somebody who has either gone through what you're going through or maybe they're experiencing it now, and you can kind of go through it together. But the other piece of it is there are people who are much farther along than I am also, and so I'm able to learn from that experience as well, and it's just been very helpful for me.
We
I'm so glad to hear.
appreciate you being a founding family member, Brandon. We appreciate you being active in the community, supporting in the community, and it's a give and take. We give and we also receive, which makes it so valuable to me. Those relationships, the genuine relationships that Taylor had talked about, and being able to know that you've got folks in your corner, you've got folks that have your front, back, your side to side along this journey, along this adventure, along the misadventures, which is my middle name. It means the world, and it makes a world of difference. So if there's any speakers that are listening to your podcast or watching your podcast that are looking for a supportive community that meets consistently every week, we've got the Circle app. Daily folks are sharing and contributing on the Circle app. We would love the opportunity to support them and to serve as a resource.
Okay, fantastic. And I'll include the contact information in the show notes for anybody listening that would like to do that. That's fantastic. Okay. Anything else before we go? All
Just a
right.
big thank you from us, Brandon.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for your time. Thank you so much. And to the listeners, hey, thank you for being with us for this long. A special thank you to our sponsors, HyperX and Shackelford Leadership Institute. And thanks for tuning in. We'll have another episode for you in 2 weeks. Thanks.
Thank you.